Welcome to Edge Unscripted On the Floor ABA Tech Show 2026 edition. In this special edition, we're bringing you live, candid conversations straight from the show floor at ABA Tech Show, where lawyers, legal professionals, and legal tech innovators come together to explore how technology is transforming the practice and business of law. Let's go off script.
Hello, I'm Vicki LaBrosse with Edge Marketing, and I'm here today with Victoria Truscott with Attorney Launch. Victoria is the Director of Client Engagement, and we are at ABA Tech Show in the lovely McCormick Place in Chicago. And this is Attorney Launch's very first tech show. So Victoria, tell me what the buzz is. What kind of conversations are you having with people visiting your booth?
You know, being a tech show, there's a lot of talk about AI, and I think one of the fun things that we get to talk to people about is that we're really like people-focused company, and rather than leaning on the AI to run things, we really focus on connecting with the law firms that we work with and figuring out what their specific needs are so we can tailor our services to them.
Oh, very cool. So tell me a little bit more about Attorney Launch. How did you get started? Where did you see the need for this in the space? What's going on with you guys?
Yeah, we started in LA about 8 years ago, and initially we were just running some lead generation for a couple of attorneys. And as their firms grew and they started getting more leads, they suddenly were like, now we need intake managers, now we need case managers, and their team needed to grow because they had so many cases coming in. And we just figured out how to fill that void for them. And all along the way, we've been like, okay, and now you have a team big enough that you need HR services? Great, we'll handle that. You need help with your taxes? Cool, we'll get you a CPA. And we've built out a team so that we now can do all of those things internally. What started with the one law firm is now several dozen law firms that we do either full operations or a la carte services for.
Very cool. Do you serve a specific target market law firm, a size, mid-size?
So as far as size, we're pretty open. I love helping lawyers that are just starting out on their own figure out what their needs are and how to use the capital that they have to get the best bang for their buck. But we work with firms. As of now, we have a firm that we run full operations for that's about 500. So we do work with firms pretty varying sizes.
Oh, very cool. Does Attorney Launch have anything new coming up over the next year? Any services, anything you're expanding on, new offerings?
Yeah, we're actually building out like a cybersecurity and IT offering right now. We currently offer it to clients that we already have, but we are building out our own platform, our own software, so that when we bring on new companies, we have our own systems in place to manage all of their accounts in a safe way and make sure that all of their tech's taken care of.
That is so exciting. Well, we're going to have to keep an eye on Attorney Launch over the next year. And thank you so much for taking time today. I hope the rest of your tech show is lovely.
You too.
Hello, it's Vicki LaBrosse with Edge Marketing, and I'm at ABA Tech Show at the lovely McCormick Place in Chicago. Second year for Tech Show being here. And I'm here today with Mike Murray. Hi, Mike.
Hello,
Mike,
how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. Mike is with Veritext Legal Solutions, and we're going to talk about all things Veritext and all things Tech Show today. So, Mike, what is the buzz that you're hearing at Tech Show so far? What is the conversations you've been having or things you've been seeing?
Well, like it's been for the last few years, AI everywhere. But what I think is a little different this year is that we're seeing it start to be integrated into applications. I feel like for the last few years, it's just been like kind of almost a bell and whistle, like, oh, look, you can do this little chat thing, or you can do this little, it'll prep you for your meeting, you know. But now we're seeing a deeper integration into the apps where I almost don't think it should be called AI anymore. It should just be the app. Like that's just how applications work these days, where AI is going to, you know, supplement whatever work you're doing or help you out. And I think to me, that's the biggest change, is that I think it's finally being like really adopted at a deep level.
That's amazing. Yeah. I think firms are definitely trying to find the value in AI and not just tacking it onto their product. Like that was a conversation last year, and this year they're like, hey, how are we really leveraging it, and how is this helping our own clients? So
that's true. There's a lot of tacking on in the first few years.
Yes, just to say that you have it.
Exactly.
So I like your point. So tell me, how is Veritext leveraging AI and what's new with you guys? What's been going on?
We have been leveraging it a lot and in a lot of different areas, from the client deliverables and products to even internal efficiencies and things like that. As far as the products, we have a suite we call the Smart Package. It involves our Smart Summary, which has been out for about a year and it's been really successful, and it's an AI summary of a transcript proceeding. So successful that people said we want more. And so we have now the Smart Analysis, which goes deeper and actually analyzes the transcript, key fact admissions, builds a timeline, gives you, a brief at the end. And then, which I think is even more exciting, is Smart Search, where you can go into our portal and actually run queries, natural language, kind of like ChatGPT. You can talk to your transcript, so you can ask it more questions, and this gives attorneys the ability to give more context to their case, because we don't know their strategy and all that. So they can put this in and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. How does that relate to this transcript? Are there any contradictions in here? Or give me 10 questions for my next proceeding based on this witness's, testimony. And so those are the things we're really leveraging. On the efficiency side, there's a stenographic shortage. It's been that way for a number of years. And so we've been leveraging digital reporters. And so one of the things we're doing is utilizing AI to help those digital reporters get a draft transcription. It's still reviewed by a certified transcriptionist and all that, but this gives them the text right there. So if an attorney needs a read back or anything like that, they see it and they can use it, right from there. But I have to say, in all these AI things, we strongly feel a human still has to be in the loop. Feel that justice is a human thing, and if you don't have humans, what's kind of the point? And so we have no intention to replace reporters and things like that. It's really to augment them and to help them just be more efficient, and that, I feel like the industry's always kind of been like that, from like the invention of the steno machine to real time to, et cetera. So that's some of the things we've been up to with it.
That's super exciting. Yes, I think, keeping that human intelligence piece in all of this AI evolution is critical. And it sounds like you guys are definitely behind that strategy.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So, So what is going to be coming up for Veritext over the next year? Do you have anything that you could share with us?
Yeah, a little insight. So the thing that I really see is agentic AI. We've been using AI now, ChatGPT, Google seeing all that. And it's been fun to have little conversations, summarize documents, things like that. But with agentic AI, you can send the AI off to do a task. It could be a 30-minute task, it could be an hour task. And so it's going to go much deeper into things and actually create, PowerPoints for you, documents for you, really a much deeper interaction with AI. It almost kind of makes, I feel like, the old ChatGPT feel like a novelty, like now it's almost like a worker that you can send off, like an assistant, a true assistant, you can send off and do stuff. So we're looking at agentic AIs and how, dealing with transcripts and exhibits, how can we leverage that to really make our clients efficient and give them tools that, it's like having an assistant that they can really go off and, have work on their case and things like that. So that's what we're working on right now.
That is very exciting. And that's going to be coming out hopefully later this year?
Hopefully. One of the crazy things with AI is the speed at which it's iterating is getting to a mind-blowing pace. And even as a technologist, it blows my mind at how fast things are going. So, I'm very hopeful that it'll be out by the end of the year, if not sooner. So we'll keep you posted.
And then my last question is, as you're walking around Tech Show and attending sessions and looking at booths and visiting with, your connections and new friends, what is one takeaway that you would like to bring back with you from this show?
I would like to see how people are really using AI, not just the novelty of it, not just the look at this little chatbot kind of thing, but how is it like really being adopted, particularly by the lawyers and paralegals and staff there. How are they actually using these tools for their cases? Are they making decisions based on some of these summaries? So the real world, anecdotes is what I always love. I want to know how is it really being used in the field. It's one thing to design it, but how do people actually use it? So that's what I'm most excited about. Our products and all the products in general.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, Mike, thank you for taking time today to speak with us on our Edge Unscripted podcast. And I hope you have a great tech show.
Thanks. So far, so good.
Hi, it's Vicki LaBrosse with Edge Marketing here at ABA Tech Show in McCormick Place in Chicago. And I'm here today with one of the Startup Alley participants. This is Josh Doward with TwinCounsel. And we're going to just have a chat about all things Startup Alley, all things TwinCounsel, and all things Tech Show. So thanks, Josh, for being here.
Sounds great. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So tell me about some of the conversations that you've been having with people coming to visit you at your booth, and what is the buzz? What's new? Yeah.
So I would say a couple of things. After the pitch yesterday, we've had a lot of visitors come to us and talk about some of their challenges with what we call the solo reactive trap. This idea that, you know, a lot of folks went independent, but then got caught running their business and getting stuck in admin and inbox chaos. And so we've had a lot of conversations about that and about how TwinCounsel can help. We've also had conversations about where are practice management tools going? Okay, and this idea of moving from a system of record to a system of action is something that we've also been talking about here at the show.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. So has there been any surprises or conversations that you've heard that it has been enlightening for you as far as how you're able to serve this constituency? Or
yeah, sure. So I would say some of the things that we've heard, you know, are I guess typical of the stage that the industry is in. People trying a lot of tools and maybe being let down by some of the tools that they've tried.
Okay.
And so I'm hearing a lot of experimentation, but I'm also hearing that there are gaps with what the tools are delivering. And so we're, as an early startup, paying very close attention to that. Sure. And trying to understand where an approach like TwinCounsel can work.
Okay, that sounds amazing. I know you're just starting out, so this is kind of a hard question, but where do you see yourself in the next year? What kind of new developments do you have in the works that you can talk about?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think we are at the start of a new era where that we're calling the rise of the solo. And we think that with these AI toolings, solos are going to be able to operate at big firm levels while maintaining their independence. Okay. And so we're building our tool set to enable that future. Okay. And in our roadmap, what we do, by the way, at TwinCounsel is we are creating the first legal twin for solo and independent attorneys. A legal twin is an AI teammate that lives in your inbox and has access to it knows your case and your matter, so it's never starting cold.
Okay.
And so our roadmap is to build integrations and skills that the agent can do that are valuable for the partners that we're serving.
Gotcha. And is there a specific firm size that you serve, or what's
so we are very focused on the solo and small firm population. We think they're underserved, and they need tools to help them operate at big firm levels while keeping their independence.
Yes, excellent. And you're in the right place for that, that's for sure.
This is great. We're so thankful to Bob and the people who have invited us to tell our story here.
Yeah, that's fantastic. What advantage do you think a startup like yourself has over these larger practitioners?
So a couple, we can move fast. Okay. First and foremost is you can move really fast and you can be responsive. The technology is changing so quickly that if you don't adopt the new approaches, it's very hard to change that from an incumbent position. So we are very much focused on this move from systems of record to systems of action and delegation. Okay. And so we think you're going to hear a lot more about digital twins in general, and that's why we're building the first legal twin for solos and independents.
I love it. It's an excellent concept. Yeah, very innovative. I like it. My last question for you is, what are you hoping, not only yourself, we can answer this in two parts. What are you hoping to take away from Tech Show, and what do you hope the people that are visiting you today and attendees in general take away from Tech Show?
So I think what people should take away from Tech Show is that the tools are moving very quickly, and maybe some of the challenges that they thought they would encounter with onboarding have been solved by new approaches that don't ask you to learn new software, change your whole system, and move to a new system. What we're taking away from this is validation that this is a real category and a real need. And so by listening to the stories of the attorneys who come by our desk here, clearly there's a need for help with the admin work that doesn't have a high overhead to engage with. So we're taking that as validation.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you, Josh, so much for your time today.
Thank
you.
And
we wish you the best as TwinCounsel continues to grow and we hope you have an amazing tech show.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Vicki.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate it.
Hello, it's Vicki LaBrosse with Edge Marketing at ABA Tech Show at McCormick Place in Chicago, and I'm here today with everybody's favorite journalist in the legal space, Bob Ambrogi.
I couldn't agree more.
That's right. As you know, Bob writes copious amounts of fantastic legal tech coverage that gets published with his blog, LawSites, through LawNext podcast, through Above the Law, and just about anybody else who picks it up. So thanks, Bob, for taking time today to speak with us.
Yeah, great to see you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. So what's new? Let's just jump in there. Like, what are you seeing that's new at Tech Show? What's the big buzz?
It's early yet, but obviously everything is AI this year, it seems like, and so that's not a surprise. We were just talking a little bit before we started recording, which I think what's interesting this year is that AI has evolved to the point where it's not just something everybody's talking about, but it's actually something that everybody's actually building with and developing with and incorporating into their products. So a year ago, when we were sitting here at Tech Show, we were looking at a lot of companies who were saying, here's what we're going to be doing over the next year with AI. This year, you're seeing some really, really, really intelligent products, I think, coming out. So I think really the biggest difference is that AI has moved from a sort of an idea to an actuality in terms of the way it's being incorporated in products.
It's actually been implemented, and not just, I think firms and our tech providers are looking at how can we add value, not just to say that we have AI on our product, but how is this changing the way firms do their work.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's fantastic. So I was at the pitch competition last night, my favorite part of Tech Show, and I believe, if I heard you correctly, this was the 10th year?
10th anniversary.
And you've done all of them.
I have.
And so tell me what has changed or evolved with companies, the types of companies that come through for the pitch competition, what they're talking about. Has it varied over the last decade?
Well, the biggest evolution over the past decade is just how many startups there are in the legal space, right? I mean, 10 years ago, startups would come along at a sort of a leisurely pace. Companies would come along, and this year we had a record number of applications to be in the startup alley. There's so much interest in being in the startup alley. It's interesting to me that there's a sort of selection process. The way we pick the final 15 companies, we get close to 100 applications.
Wow.
We winnow it down to 25 that we then put up for voting,
Yep.
and then anybody can vote to go into it. So the ones that get picked for the 15 are picked by a popular vote, not by us, and they sort of fall into patterns. Like last night, there were 2 different estate planning applications, which I thought was interesting. There were 2 different dispute resolution platforms. The one that won, called Callbox, was all about helping lawyers get paid, which I think says a lot about the fact that for all the ideas we're talking about what AI could possibly do for lawyers, they're still very much interested in the basics of how do I get paid, how do I get my work done, what are my basic workflows. And I think that says a lot about it. But,
Right. That's pretty cool. So we've been talking about AI, because who hasn't, for the last 2 years. What do you think is relevant to our legal tech community? What's important and helpful that you're hearing versus what is just the noise? Do you think, I know we talked about kind of moving beyond from just the idea of AI to actually implementing it, but are you still hearing stuff out that you think is just, it's just noise?
Well, no, I think what's relevant is the fact that AI is getting built into workflow. I mean, workflow has been a big word, right? Over the last year, I think workflow's always been important, but I think because of AI, some of the companies that are developing tech are thinking much more carefully about how do we take this technology and build it in a functional way into what lawyers do on a day-to-day basis, so that it's actually not just some whiz-bang kind of, oh, this is really cool, but so it's actually helping them be more efficient, do their jobs better. think one of the prime examples of this for me has been in the plaintiff's law space, the personal injury lawyer space, because I've kind of long felt that the PI lawyers kind of not well served by technology. Really, there was like trial presentation software and that kind of stuff, but there wasn't really software that helped them put their cases together and put together the story of their case and pull together all the facts and really get ready to present a case. Generative AI has changed that, so now there's a ton of new products coming onto the market that are focused on that market. And it's all been enabled by Gen AI. It's been enabled by the capabilities that technology has that you kind of things you couldn't have done before without generative AI. So I think it's really making practical workflow-based applications that are focused on what lawyers actually do and making their jobs better.
Okay. Yeah.
Make any sense?
Yeah, it does. No, it really does. No, absolutely. Okay. 2 questions. What is one thing that you think the legal industry still grapples with or struggles with when it comes to adopting new technology?
I think the biggest thing we're here at ABA TechShow, where a lot of the audience tends to be smaller firm lawyers, right? Small, mid-sized firms as opposed to, say, Legal Week, the bigger firms. The biggest issue for smaller firm lawyers is simply the time and bandwidth and capability to learn about new technology. Because you've got a law practice to run. You've got to do your job. You don't have an IT department. You don't have the kinds of innovation experts that big law firms have. So it's on you to be able to do that. I think so many people come to Tech Show because they want to take that time to learn about what's going on. They are interested in what's going on. I don't know the numbers, but I understand there's quite a few first-time attendees to the Tech Show, and I think that's driven because so many people are so curious about AI and what this means for them. So I think the obstacle is not that they're not interested. It's just that it takes time to sit down and learn this stuff and figure it all out. And and the more and more products there are in the market, the harder and harder it is to sort through it all. And it gets really difficult to do. I mean, I do this practically full time, and I can't keep up with it all.
Right,
so how does somebody who's actually out there with a full-time job keeping up with it?
Right. That's a great point. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so my last question is, what do you hope, because I know you help kind of shape Tech Show, especially when it comes to the Startup Valley. As an attendee yourself at Tech Show, what do you want to take away? What are you hoping to learn?
That's a hard question only because I'm already so tuned into a lot of what's going on. But I'm always looking for new ideas, really, and I like talking to people who are a lot smarter than I am, who can kind of challenge my own thinking about these technologies in both a positive and a critical way. I think sometimes I get sort of stuck in the bubble of talking to a lot of PR people,
we all
marketing
do, right?
people, and
Totally.
others.
Yep.
And sometimes when you talk to actual lawyers who are trying to figure this stuff out, you just get a whole different perspective, and it helps me in my own writing because then I'm more tuned into what maybe my audience wants to hear or wants to learn about. But like I say, also I meet a lot of people at Tech Show who are much smarter than I about all this, and who can help me be more critical about my own evaluation of these tools. And so I think that's really what I take away. It's not a particular program or panel, it's the people I get to talk to. I'm one of those people who I'm bad at going to programs because I love all the offline
networking connections.
that happen.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
That's what I take away.
Yeah. Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
And I really hope you have an amazing rest of the Tech Show.
You too.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Okay,
Thanks.
absolutely.
This has been Edge Unscripted on the Floor ABA Tech Show 2026 edition. Thanks for listening. We hope these show floor conversations gave you a clearer view of where the legal industry is headed. If you found this helpful, leave a comment, share the episode with a colleague, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.